Our work primarily is at the highest temporal scale that we actually receive from the bedside, which are signals that are sampled at hundreds of samples per second. But they can actually be sampled for a long period of time, meaning that it could be for hours, it could even be for days, right? So the models that we really build break down the length scales into small chunks of time, where we say, well, we assume that, or we think that this model is actually valid for something on the order of 5 to 10 to 60 seconds, right? And then we take that much amount of data from the bedside monitors. We then identify this model, or we then actually estimate parameters of this model. And then there's another chunk of 60 seconds. There's another chunk of 60 seconds. So that the way that we actually break down this long time scale versus short time scale problem is by having models that actually act on a very comparatively short time scale, and then breaking down the time scale according to that. And so the parameters that we estimate through the modeling approach that we employ can actually do vary from one window to the next window to the next window that we estimate. So you do see a trend in the evolution of these parameters that we estimate. But this is how we actually break down the problem. It takes a lot of data. But we're very happy and fortunate here in the Boston area to be so close to some of the leading hospitals, not only in the region but in the world. So that the patient population that we see, the volume that we see, and the collaborative nature that we see with our clinical colleagues is very conducive to this kind of work. Meaning that a lot of physicians in the Boston area are very research-minded, and they're very supportive of the work that we're doing. And some of the best work that we've been doing has been stimulated, has been initiated by clinicians who come with their problems to us. Say we have a lot of data, right? And clinically, I always see this happening before the patient has X, Y, or Z. Can you help us understand? And that's the best kinds of collaborations that we can have, because you have a clinical colleague who is an expert in this field, who is very invested to make a difference in how patients are being treated. He or she has data for us to go through, and we have the technical expertise, the data analytical expertise to actually look through the data and see what we can help with. So in some aspects of my work, we do use machine learning and basic data analytic tools to understand the data, to understand the relations that exist between different data streams and relations that exist between different data streams and the outcome of the patient. But in most of our work, where possible, what we try to strive for is an incorporation of our understanding of the underlying physiology into the analysis tools that we're using, meaning that we can really represent the underlying physiology mathematically, right? Whether it's through ordinary differential equations or through algebraic relations. And then we actually try to interpret the data within the context of those relationships, because they provide an important constraint, and they have been discovered, determined, described over the course of centuries, essentially. And what I really want my focus, or the focus of my work to be, is to try to incorporate as much as possible of that knowledge into the decision-making process, into the modeling, and into the analysis of data streams.